What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
I'm Jason.
and you're listening to Liquid Carnage. I would say, what's up, my friend, but it's been an eventful 10 days for you.
Yeah, it's been a rough one. Last time we recorded was let's see,
A week ago.
it was on Monday, right?
Yeah?
Yeah, and I was waiting for my test results. I was starting to feel sick, and I went to the hospital or to the urgency room or urgent clinic, care clinic, and they said that they wanted to give me a COVID test. So as of last Monday, I didn't have any results back. Well, since then, I did get my results back. I did test positive for COVID, and I've been dealing with them now for the last 8 or 9 days, and it's been brutal. It's been a very very rough. Uh, it makes the flu look very manageable.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot from the people that had it and didn't have to go to the ICU or get admitted to the hospital. It's rough.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
it's anyone who thinks that oh, let's just get it done and get it over with, I would give them second thoughts and give them pause to that, because it's a full 10 days of just I've been feeling crappy.
oh, that's rough, dude. I'm sorry. Hopefully this recording today, we're catching it on the upswing now. I mean, you're back on the road
Yes.
to recovery.
Yeah.
So
By the
hopefully,
time the listeners hear
but
this, I should be I'll be already past my quarantine. I'll already be I won't be able to spread the disease, and according to them, while they suggest to still get a vaccine when it comes available, at as of the episode, I won't be able to, or I'll be immune to getting it again. So that being said, everything ends well. But yeah, it was 10 days of hell, man. It's rough.
oh man, that's it's something we've been talking about for the last 9 months is how it's affected the world, and now you're literally a firsthand account. I've talked to a few people with it here and there, and that have had it, and it's been varying in degrees of severity. I guess is the best way to put it. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you
Um,
put yours?
I guess the only thing that I would say I'm a little lucky is I never had to get hospitalized for it. But uh, the last 4 days, especially from day 5 to day 9, it was probably one of the most severe illnesses I've ever experienced. I mean, I couldn't get comfortable. I was
Wow.
constantly, my temperature was fluctuating up and down. My cough was there, tightening in the chest. I didn't have to get hospitalized, but everything else was a very bad experience. The weird thing is that Noreen got it as well. She was diagnosed a day before me because her symptoms showed up a day earlier than mine did. She was
Hmm.
feeling better by day 5, and she's already fine. She's already done and back to feeling normal. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's the hard
we
part, man. It's
same
just
people, same everything was exactly the same, and she had a totally different experience than I did.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy. And thank God you're both on the back end of it, but it's just crazy that I mean, there are no words. I mean, you especially have taken every precaution you can, and that just goes to show how transmittable this disease really is, this virus
Scott,
really
you bring up a
is.
great point, because we've been racking our brains like, where did we get this? Because we had the funeral for Noreen's mother, and no one from that funeral got sick. Nobody. So, and it was
Hmm.
well before we got infected, so they don't think that the Arizona Department of Health reaches out to you when you get a positive COVID result, and they started doing
Uh huh.
surveys, asking questions about, where were you, where have you been? And I'm serious, other than going to the grocery store, we've been out to dinner, I think once, maybe twice. We went out to dinner, but we went nowhere without a mask. We were not in big groups.
Yeah.
And the scary thing is that no one around us, nobody around us, not Sam, not coworkers of Noreen's, have gotten sick. We are the only two people that got sick in this whole thing. And so for people who wonder, well, you have to be around a big group of people. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think you can probably do everything right and still be exposed to COVID-19.
Wow.
Because we didn't do anything. We didn't go out in a big group. We didn't go anywhere where we were around a bunch of people that just a big group of people. We've been to the grocery store and we went out to dinner for Noreen's birthday, and that was it.
Man, sometimes it's all it takes is one, the simple touching of one door without disinfecting your hands, or just being in an area where someone was that had it. It's hard to say. It's kind of it kind of hits home with you did everything right. You don't know where you got it, and the unfortunate part is now you're dealing with it, and you have to hope that you don't have any lingering effects from this.
Yeah, I was reading a story. There was a football player who got COVID and missed 2 football games. His last football game, he came back and he said that he could still feel the effects of the shortness of breath, that it was still.
Talk about Myles Garrett on the Cleveland
Browns. That
Browns.
was the one. So
yeah,
you're right. Long term, I don't know what kind of impact this is going to be. Me, I run. I run a few days a week, and I walk the other days a week. And I might find that as I'm going back through the recovery, I might be feeling the effects of the disease.
Yeah, man. I feel for you on that. And I, knock on wood, I know I've done a few bonehead things that put myself in precarious positions with this whole pandemic thing, and I've gotten relatively lucky at trying to stay that way for the holidays or whatnot, and until the vaccine comes out. But that's getting harder and harder, man, because those numbers keep climbing and climbing, and I'm in and out of it every day at the hospital, and you just don't know. You don't know who has it, who doesn't have it, or maybe you've already had it, just been asymptomatic. Because, like you said, Noreen had some symptoms, but not to the severity you had it.
She said that. I mean, yeah, she had some symptoms, but she said that by day 4 she was feeling on the road to recovery. So, and I mean, I think that's the one thing that it is obvious to me, that you can do everything right and still get sick.
Yeah.
So,
but moral of the story is, you're going to be okay.
I survived.
You're going to survive.
I didn't have to get put into ICU bed. My symptoms are at the end of the 10 days, and so I'm starting to feel better. Like, I'm not running a fever today. I'm still lingering with the cough, but I have some antibiotics that are helping me with getting the inflammation down in my chest.
Good. It's just, I think it's a reminder to all of our listeners out there. It's be careful, be safe. Not everybody is invincible to this, and we don't. That's the real trigger to this whole thing, is we don't know how severe it's going to be from one person to the next. So just please be wary of it, and please be wary of who you're around who could not handle a sickness like this right now. We talked about the last week. My dad being freshly out of the ICU from a heart issue earlier this year. We're trying like hell to make sure he stays okay until the vaccination comes out, and it just seems like now that we know it's out there, it's taken forever to get here.
Yeah, well, and we have a friend who's 33 years old and is in the ICU still, 3 weeks in the ICU trying to recover. 33 years old. So it doesn't have an age. Like, if you're young, you're safe. It doesn't. It does. I really feel like this is I've had a firsthand experience to say that there's just nothing. This is a very unique disease, and I've been reading stories now. I used to read the stories about people getting COVID and stuff like that, but now I read it with a different perspective and a different empathy, because like that Myles Garrett, I was like, yeah, dude, I totally understand what you're saying. It's frustrating because he's a top tier athlete who might have this issue for years to come.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been reading about the NFL players that have had it. Lamar Jackson, the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, he's top of his game, 23 years old. in prime health, and he said he slept for basically 10
Yeah,
days
I mean,
straight.
believe me, there was a day on Friday I slept 24 hours. I didn't get out of bed. And it wasn't a comfortable sleeping soundly, restfully. It was, I mean, my body was just achy, and it was not comfortable at all. And ugh.
Oh,
The only thing that's positive now is that I
uh,
feel like the light's at the end of the tunnel, and I'll be glad that
yeah,
I have a little bit of the antibodies in my body to protect me until I get my vaccine. I think the vaccine's
yeah,
fascinating, though. I mean, to hear that these scientists have put coding into the vaccine that basically teaches your
yeah,
body how to create the antibody. I just, it's insane.
yeah. It's revolutionary. It's a cool deal, and it blows my mind that so many people are freaking out over it and refusing to take it. And I thought long and hard about it before I started reading, doing the research on it, and I'm okay taking the vaccine. It doesn't bother me. Like I've said before, and I'll say it again, given the opportunity, if I can defer mine, so maybe my dad can get it, take my spot in line, that's fine with me because I feel like, knock on wood, I'm strong enough so I can get through it, and I would prefer not to have to go through it, but I'm all for the vaccine as soon as possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say that the people who are probably against the vaccine might be the same people that don't even think that COVID is real. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
take it for what it is. But I'm gonna get it, and I've been sick, and I'm gonna take it. Take it because I don't know. They're already saying in England that there's already a strain that's a
a
different
mutant
strain
strand.
now
Yeah,
of it. So, and I would not want to get this again. No way. Oh, I would not want to get this again.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's the sad reality of the world we live in that now we have to deal with this, and I would hope that now that we have a vaccine for it, we could get ahead of the curve with these mutations of the actual disease itself, and maybe um, try to avoid it like we do the flu.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is I know that they said that the antibodies stay in your body for a while, but you could be subject to this again. So I know for myself, I'm going to get the vaccine when it comes, my way.
Yeah, yeah, I have no problem with it. I'll be right there. And like you said, you go back to the science of how this is done. It's really cool that they can create something like this. And a lot of people don't. This wasn't just built in 8 months. I think people need to realize this. This COVID-19 is like a SARS. It's like the swine flu, the bird flu. So they've been doing research on vaccines for SARS for years. So the baseline of this vaccine was already done.
Oh,
So the years of trying to figure out the baseline stuff have been going for since what was the first major one since SARS back in 2002,
right.
2004. I forget what election year issue that was, but um, the the ability to retrofit that and make it work like this, I think it's so cool and so technologically advanced that I feel great that we can live in a society like this. But it also makes me sad that we live in a society that can't even do basic rules to follow to prevent this thing from getting out of hand.
Yeah, I believe that the technology is fascinating. I do wonder though how this will go moving forward in terms of approval of future vaccines or future drugs, because everyone was saying that if it hadn't been for like that Operation Warp Speed, it would have taken 2 years for them to go through the trials and get
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff moving forward. Well, now if they've proven that you can do it in 6 months or 8 months, will they change the way that drugs get
Yeah,
pushed through the system, or is this a
that's
one-time
true.
event? And to his credit, Trump was the one that kept pushing. We will have a drug. We will have a drug. He was the one that pushed that past the FDA's normal timeline. So,
Yeah, that is true. That
and
is true.
and the more people that get vaccinated, obviously it'll just make it easier for everyone to you know not worry about getting it. But let's be honest. I mean, we've lost 320,000 people. So,
Yeah,
there's 320,000 less people this year that we will never see again. And I know that, in our little small group of people, we've had 2 people affected negatively with loss of life over COVID. So I,
Yeah.
I just, and now that I've gone through the illness myself, it's sad. It's sad that I couldn't stay away from it. I thought I was doing the right things, and I work from home, so I'm isolated. But it didn't stop me from not getting it.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to show anyone, anytime. I mean, it's going to be a lot worse before it gets any better, especially as we move into the Christmas season. Because if you're listening to this on the day we release it, it is Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas. Please be safe. We've had to adapt. I mentioned it last week in our conversation. We've had to adapt our plans for Christmas this year to try to prevent as much of any potential spread between my family and my brother coming to town and my parents. So it's a different year, and I'm willing to make those sacrifices for 1 year to make sure we have plenty more holidays
Yeah.
to spend together.
Yeah, in fact, we had to do the same thing. Noreen's dad was going to come up with us on. He was going to come up Sunday and stay with us here at the house through the end of the year. Well, because of the COVID, we are not clear until till Thursday, Christmas Eve, to be free of the chance of contagion.
Spread.
So we're gonna go down on Christmas Eve, pick them up, bring them back up to the house, for the same reason. He said, "I just don't want to be alone." And we said, "Yeah, but I also don't want to kill you." You know what I mean?
Right.
Being alone is if that's safe, then we have to do that. But I've talked to the public health department. I talked to the doctor at the ER that I talked to. And, I kind of gave him my history, and he said, "Yeah, you should be free and clear on Christmas Eve. You should be past being able to spread the disease." So.
That's good.
That made me feel good, and so we're gonna pick them up, have them spend the Christmas with us, and then we'll probably keep them through New Year's, and then go from there. But
So is Noreen keeping you in one room to keep everything isolated so she can disinfect everything
so
too?
I have been sleeping in our second spare bedroom. We have gone in and disinfected the entire guest bedroom where he would normally sleep. She washed the sheets, she wiped down everything. The kitchen, we're gonna go through and just make sure we get it like disinfectant everywhere. Wash our hands, obviously, do everything we can to make sure that we're, that every surface has been disinfected.
Yeah. No, it's all you can do, and that's an unfortunate risk. And like I said, after the holidays, this is going to get real bad in Arizona, probably until mid-January.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah, we look at, because Janice is running all the COVID clinic here in town, and she's been watching the numbers since Thanksgiving, and you could just see that spike 1 week after, then it got even bigger 2 weeks after, and then it's kind of, I don't want to say it's tapered off, but it's still high. But now that Christmas is coming, and I live in an area where a lot of people don't believe in this, or they're willing to risk it, not knowing the full effect. So I expect this to be bad into the new year until the vaccine. I expect that globally, to be honest with you. Well, not globally, at least nationally, because you read the news. Our current leadership has put this behind them. They're on to other things, and it's basically survival of the fittest right now.
Yeah, I hope it's not too bad, but I have a feeling that another thing that could happen is, there's a vaccine coming, so now we can be lax. We can just kind of let it go.
Yeah, and anything but that, you cannot be lax. Even after you get the vaccine, you still have to wear a mask, and you still have to do this stuff because it's going to take us some time.
Yeah. Well, and so we actually, Noreen had a coworker who got it back in June. And he's been donating his plasma every month since then to help people get the antibody, or I guess do something for patients who are, dealing with COVID. And they say that even after 6 months, he still has the antibody in his system. So, he's been helping people, but also, he's been staying, safe himself. So. I think that's a weird. Isn't that a weird thing too, that everyone reacts to the COVID differently? Like everyone has a different
Yeah, yeah,
reaction to it. Noreen, I mean, seriously, she had a flu. She was more like the flu, like you would expect from the
yeah.
flu. I was bedridden for a day and a half where I just didn't even get out of bed, and my experience was not fun at all.
That's like I said, that's the scary part, and we're at the point now where we wake up every day and like, all right, I got my throat's a little sore. It's like, but you slept with a fan on, your mouth's open, you have one nostril clogged, the other one's draining. It's allergies, you idiot. You know, and I figure
Yeah,
as long as my
yeah.
temperature's okay, because I get my temperature taken numerous times a day where I work. As long as it's okay, I'm fine. The minute it starts to spike, I got a 2-week vacation whether I want it or not.
Well, and Scott, that's the weirdest thing too. My temperature never
Really?
went above 100.
Huh?
Never, never went above. I'm sorry, never went above 101. I got to about 100.7 once. But it never got to a scary number where I thought, okay, if it gets above 101, 102, I
Mm-hmm.
need to go to the doctor. Never. It's always been just a low grade fever, 99,
You see, but
99.5.
that's our cutoff.
Just
99.5 is when they send us home. So even a low
okay.
grade fever, they kick us
Okay.
out.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So I mean, I guess part of me is glad that I'm now past it. It's a kind of a weight off my shoulder. But like you said, I'm still gonna wear a mask. I'm still gonna, be cognizant of my surroundings and where I'm at because I just everyone needs to see people
Yeah,
adhering to the rules.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy that you're even going through this like this. And from a selfish perspective, I'm glad you're on the back end of this getting better because you know how hard it's gonna be to find somebody with edge in their name that wants to co-host a podcast.
I know. I know. It's so dang difficult, and especially if I had to be in the ICU for
Oh yeah.
3-4 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Executive producer would have been having
Oh
to
yeah.
do
Oh man,
triple
it would have been
duty.
terrible. I mean, we would have been praying for your health and trying to
Oh,
figure out how to do this, and it's not. Man, I'm glad you're okay.
I
You're
know.
an irreplaceable cog in the machine that is Liquid Carnage and Kurtzworth Manor.
That's right. And on a funny note, I was supposed to be buying Christmas presents
Uh,
for Noreen over this last 2 weeks, and we just figured, you know what, we're not doing anything for Christmas because we didn't have a chance to go anywhere. We didn't have a chance to go
yeah.
get presents, so our Christmas basically fell apart. Anyways, it's like, oh gosh, I can't even do
Yeah, it's all
Christmas
right
this
though. I
year.
mean, at the end of the day, it's just one of those. It's a suitable ending to 2020.
Yeah, let's just say that this last month of the year has
Yeah.
been pretty rough. Myself and Noreen, obviously, but we've had friends that terrible loss in this last month, and it's just I feel for all of our friends who have been dealing with personal problems and health problems that have hit them and hit their families. It's just I'm so ready for 2020 to be done. And how poetic that the last of my 2020 was
Yeah.
dealing with
Right.
COVID.
And that is definitely
So,
gonna be here for a while still. And the fact that you're fighting and coming through, it says amazing things, and it's just,
yeah.
man, I'm glad you're okay. And
Yeah, me too. I'm glad I'm feeling better today because this weekend was pretty rough. I was not feeling good at all. So to be on the other side and feeling better and feeling like, yeah, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah,
It's a nice
you know,
feeling.
I can't imagine
So
having to be bedridden for 2 days like this. Like I have this OCD thing about being up and moving constantly, and if something like this, something like this took me down about Thanksgiving last year. Yeah, and I
oh,
was
it
down
did?
for about 2 or 3 days, and I've never been
Oh
down like
wow.
that before, and it was brutal. And
Yeah, when we went into the, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but when we went into the doctor, um, they
yeah,
tested us for the flu, and they said, yeah, we're not seeing anybody come in with the flu
yeah,
this year. The flu numbers are down so much. And I thought, isn't that crazy that comparatively speaking, that the flu, which is a pretty common thing that happens every year, millions of people get the flu every year, that this year they're seeing very little flu.
Now, what do you think that is? Do you think that's because of all the hand washing and mask wearing, or COVID's just that much stronger than it's more rampant?
I don't know. I'm not sure if maybe the flu vaccine that they're giving out this year, they picked right.
Yeah.
They picked correctly. Maybe COVID destroys the other flu like bacteria that are out there. I'm not sure. That's a good question.
That's
an interesting question, because I didn't think to ask that of him, of why that happened. I should have.
Yeah, but I guess to that same theory, though, if that would have knocked down the flu numbers, it should have, in theory, also knocked down the COVID numbers, because that's supposed to take care of the same thing. But
I
mean, who knows? Maybe just the flu took a back seat this year.
I think that the most eye-opening experience, most eye-opening thing to me is that even if you're diligent about being safe, go one extra step further. Wash your hands. These cloth masks, I started thinking maybe my cloth mask, I hadn't washed it enough, and maybe something got stuck on there after weeks of wearing the mask over and over, and
maybe
I touched it. Or wash your hands, sanitize, just whatever you think you're doing, just do it a little bit more, just a little bit more diligently, because I can promise you that we did not do anything out of the ordinary to get this sick.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't. I mean, so it could be something so small or minute, but if you think that you're doing everything, just wash your hands, sanitize, stay apart, just do it all. Just do it all.
And that's what I've been doing. So when I go and I drop stuff off at my parents' house or checking on them, I try to keep my visits to less than 15 minutes. And wear the mask if I can. Everywhere I go, I wear a mask unless it's I'm eating. It's just the way it is. I've stopped going to. I usually watch football at Chili's. I stopped going to Chili's to watch football just to make sure that I'm okay for Christmas. And it's hard, man. It's an adjustment, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. The other thing I'm wondering too is that my symptoms on the last 4 days was worse than my symptoms on the first 5 days. I'm wondering if maybe the longer you go into it, maybe the symptom or the COVID is stronger for spread during the last 5 days than the first 4 days. You know what I mean? Like maybe if I came in contact with someone who was toward the end, but still had a bunch of the germs.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, the sun's got to shine on a dog's ass someday, so maybe that's what that's
right.
Looking at.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Exactly. It's. I don't think we meant to talk about this week, especially for the full show, but it's an interesting conversation once you actually have firsthand experience. And
yeah, I mean, it definitely is. It's different to read about someone getting it and to actually know someone or be the someone who got it. It changes the viewpoint.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So as we wrap up today's show, if you've had an experience with COVID, did you have it? Were you down with it? Did you barely have any symptoms? Tell us your story. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. If you have any safety tips for our EP, Tom, who will be doing some traveling via his own vehicle this holiday season, hit him up on Twitter and Instagram at liquid_EP.
Well, we just hope everyone has a really nice holiday. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yeah.
Obviously, be safe. Do your best to keep you and your family safe. And thank goodness the vaccine is just around the corner. We're so close now. So hopefully we'll all be getting a sense of our lives back in the next few months.
Yeah. Just be safe until then.
All right. Hey, everyone, thanks for listening. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.